Hey guys, oh I got gangster with that. Hey guys, it's Becky from Thankful Roots. Okay. Hey guys, it's Becky from Thankful Roots at HOLLER. Today we are going to be skipping Mailbox Monday. One, because it's stinking cold outside and we have got crazy snowstorms headed our way. And two, because this video is something that I've wanted to make for a really long time. I've had people reach out to me and ask for some clarification basically between what is a heirloom, what's a hybrid, and what's a GMO seed, and why you should either avoid one, why you want one, what's the deal. A lot of times before people even get to plant their garden, they're immediately turned off from the whole idea because there's so many choices. It's overwhelming. And so today I wanted to talk about what heirloom seeds are, what hybrid seeds are, and GMO. And I'm only going to slightly dip into it. I'm really going to try to make this like quick, down and dirty, fast, put it into country folk terms that's how I understand it, and maybe it'll help you guys as well. So I've mentioned before that we personally are trying to reach our goal of growing only heirloom seeds. Heirloom seeds are open pollinated seeds, which just basically means that those plants can be pollinated naturally, and that any seeds you save off of those plants, if you were to save those seeds, they will grow and produce naturally as well. Typically, heirlooms have been growing for over 50 years, some centuries. It's insane to me to think about the history of these seeds, and I really like that about it. That was like, honestly, the first thing that brought me to it, and then once I learned more, it's like, okay, these are my seeds. But they may not be your seeds, and so it doesn't work for everybody. Typical seeds are typically, heirloom seeds are typically passed down from generation to generation. One family will plant this plant, say tomato. One family will plant this tomato every single year. And every year they will take the seeds out of their best produce. So the most biggest, juiciest, ripest tomato they can find, they're going to keep those seeds. Next year they're going to plant them. They're going to do the same. And they do it and they do it and over again for 50 plus years, say. Eventually those seeds, 50 years down the line, grandma saved them, grandchild's eating them. Those ones that are saved way down here, they're going to be naturally selected for all of the best traits, awesome qualities, and overall just better taste. Now, I did want to slightly tap into the fact that over the last 50 to 70 years, there's been some studies done that our food nutritional value has decreased. And I feel like this is such a touchy subject. It's not necessarily the seed's fault always. It's not always that food's fault. It's actually the soil can be depleted of all type of, like any type of nutritional, mineral, any type of health. That soil is stripped of it from over farming and just from being in use for so long. And so when that happens, obviously the plant, the fruit, vegetable that grows from that, that land had no nutrients to give. So yeah, that fruit eventually, slowly is going to start to maybe be a little bit less nutritious. But also, we have hybrid and sometimes GMO seeds. And now I wanted to let you know that hybrid and GMO do not mean the same thing. A hybrid seed is when you take two similar things, you cross-pollinate, you reproduce them, and their offspring is that hybrid seed. Now, hybrids typically do not reproduce, meaning we can't save that seed, plant it, and we'll get something just like it. If that's kind of confusing, imagine how a mule is made. We take a female horse, a male donkey, cross them, we get a mule. That mule is usually sterile. It can't have children. And so it's basically the same with that plant. We cross them for certain aspects that we want of both. But because we've kind of concocted this, it's not always going to reproduce the same. Whatever that offspring is of that plant, it might revert back to its mom's genetics. And so say you crossed a cherry tomato with a large, like a beefsteak, crossed them together for different reasons. That produce was great. So you save those seeds, you want to plant them, it might revert back to its cherry tomato traits. So you're expecting these huge beefsteak tomatoes and out pop these little cherries, and that's because hybrid seeds are not reliable. And so sure, you can save them, but they're not going to be that hybrid. And so one downfall of hybrids is that they're not quite as sustainable. Every time you want that hybrid produce, you're going to have 2 pure genetic parents in order to make that little hybrid baby. And so with GMOs, they are done not so naturally. Sometimes with that, you might take, say, a cross of a tomato and a fish. They actually did that. And so what they're doing is they're crossing these things because they want some sustainable traits out of, say, the fish or whatever. And so they are crossing these so that they can be more vigorous, they can handle heat, or they can handle drought. They are highly resistant to chemicals, highly resistant to pesticides, they can spray them more. There's a lot of reasons that they make GMO seeds, and they are typically to help with the mass production of it. GMO seeds are important because they do take a lot of work off of the farmer. You don't have to till the land as much, which helps the soil's nutrients. GMO seeds have actually reduced the amount of pesticides farmers need to spray on the food so that they can keep the crop going. And I get it. I understand why. In no way, shape, or form am I saying that I believe GMOs are bad. I believe that we have the chance to grow heirloom seeds here at our house, and we have that luxury. Farmers feed the world. And so they don't always. Their crops need to be shipped across the country. They need to be strong. They need to be tough and vigorous. So the needs of farmers and that use GMO are a lot different than me, who's growing my food in the backyard. And so that can be confusing to people. They think that no, they should absolutely grow absolutely no GMOs whatsoever. And I think that that's kind of a silly response. Our response to it was, well, how about we just become responsible for our own food, and that way they can do what they need to do, and I can do what I want to do. So that's pretty much why we chose to grow heirloom seeds, was because we don't have to worry about the GMO. Hybrids can be really great sometimes. There's a lot of benefits to them, but also as we try to, venture towards the more homesteader type of lifestyle, we really want to be able to collect our seeds, not be dependent on anybody else for our seeds, and just have our own access. And that way, for future generations, we can keep growing. We can keep naturally selecting the type of produce that we want to grow, and we can feel good about it. It was all naturally done by us, by nature, and it wasn't necessarily produced in a lab, nor was it like a forced thing. We just kind of work with nature and figure out what she wants to give us, and then we take those seeds and we save them and we grow them for another year. Hybrid does not mean GMO. GMO does not mean hybrid. GMO typically is more set on the big scale, like for commercial growers. Hybrid is a lot of things that you can find at TSC and Walmart, but guess what? You can also find heirloom seeds at TSC and Walmart. Burpee is a great brand that a lot of times are in big box stores. Look right on it and it will say heirloom seeds. And so the only downfall with heirloom seeds that we found is that sometimes they take a little bit more work. And the reason for that is they haven't been scientifically biotechnology engineered into being resistant to some things, such as, bug infestation or wilt. A lot of times something like that can happen and it'll wipe out your entire crop. So there's ways that, with heirloom seeds, you do have to be a little bit more proactive. I don't feel like that's the end of the world. It's not that big of a downfall to steer me away from it. I'm really excited to try our hand this year to be solely heirloom seeds. I understand it's going to be a little bit more work. We have to really stay on top of our plants, look at them constantly, try to, look for signs of different things, and that way we can, treat it, take care of it, and really steward these plants so that we know that they were grown naturally, without any type of chemicals, without any harsh treatments, and it's something really important to us that we look forward to. Now again, just because I'm saying that's what works for us, I'm not saying that's what works for you. Hybrid seeds are great for plenty of reasons, and there's even some varieties of plants that I do recommend of hybrids. One example would be the mortgage lifter tomato. Now Becky, that's an heirloom, and it is, but in the 1940s, one man cross-pollinated 4 different types of tomatoes to come up with the mortgage lifter. And he did that for quite a while until he got that, secret sauce recipe. And so that was the product of different plants. Now, of course, they were all tomatoes, so that's more naturally. It's not like a tomato and a fish. But those tomatoes sold so well, that's how they got their name, that in 6 years, he sold $6,000 and actually paid off the mortgage of his house. Because he took traits from 4 different tomato varieties and made it work. And that's been grown since the 1940s. So for over 70 years, that seed has produced, and we've always just naturally selected the best ones, kept them, planted them again. So that does make it an heirloom, and it is an heirloom seed, but it actually did start out as a hybrid because it is a cross-pollination of 4 different varieties. So there's not a good or bad guy here. There's seeds that work for you. And so, like I said, we're just a small backyard farmers. These kind of seeds, heirloom seeds, work for us. Now, you might have a really, really busy schedule. You have to work a lot, but it's important to you to grow your own tomatoes. I'm sorry, tomatoes is the only thing I'm caught up on. Can y'all tell that I'm ready for summer? So, say you want to grow your own tomatoes, but you're not there all the time. You can't keep an eye on them to make sure that there aren't pests invading, there isn't wilt setting in. There's all kinds of reasons that you cannot be on top of it. Maybe a hybrid would be better for you. One that's been genetically engineered and chosen to be resistant to those things. If you want to learn more, just get on Google and search heirloom seeds, hybrid seeds, benefits, where can I buy them? And start doing your own research. If that seems too much, you really can reach out to me. Please ask me, and I can try to help any way that I can. Like I said, I know this is confusing. I know it's a lot. You can do this. You can grow your own food. Even if you know nothing, even if you have a brown thumb, even if you don't know what kind of seed that you want, you can do this. As always, thanks for watching. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, and Pinterest, all with the handle name of Thankful Roots. And visit our website at www